Some called it the most surprising move of the offseason. He was the third highest rated player of the recent Six Invitational in Sao Paulo, a staple of one of the two best rosters in North America, but left that team for what he thought was a better opportunity. But life comes at you fast, because now he's back in a lobby with that squad, just not with them, instead against them. Soniqs and M80 is game 3 of this day of the North American League. I'm Jacob, he's Jays Wills, he is Fox A. Citizen is back in a Soniqs lobby, but he's not playing with the Soniqs, he's playing on M80 with Spoit on his team. What the hell is this timeline, guys?
I mean, if you would have told me this a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
I would have been more surprised that Citizen had left Europe at that point. Like,
I know.
A couple years ago when he was playing on Na'Vi, he was winning in Tokoname. Now he's in NA doing this stuff.
The road to get to this point has been ridiculous, but I love that we are here. I mean, playing with a chip on your shoulder, maybe just a little one, that's got to feel good.
Yeah.
I think the only American on this lineup right now is Ambi and Merc. And Adam.
Ambi and Merc.
3 Americans.
They keep coming in.
3 Americans.
Oh, good grief. I was going to say, we can't, eventually there will be an M80 versus Los game where there's not a single American in the lobby.
Be wild.
That one will come up
North
far
American
later.
League, not a single one born in this country.
Oh man, imports are really good and out of hand. At least for M80, it turned out really good last week for Soniqs. They dumpstered Dark Zero, so both teams coming off a really good high with the wins they had last week.
Yeah, the statistics both looked very promising for both teams. Obviously, M80 was on the 3rd for both attack and defense, Soniqs being at the top because their game was by far the most blowout, which we didn't necessarily expect to be that much of a one-sided win.
Dark Zero was supposed to put up more of a fight. And I know we're going to talk about their problems later, but Soniqs made it look easy. And that was supposed to be the match
against
of the week.
Troy and Bolo and NJR is not supposed to be.
That's not supposed to happen at all, but it's such a good look for the Soniqs. Already, with these 2 new additions, you come out of the gate swinging hard against a pretty rival team, you could say.
Yep.
That's a great way to begin.
It's time for a good old heavyweight bout here in Game 3. So let's talk about M80 first. They had their game against Wildcard in their opener on Chalet last week, and it was a really good showing. 7-4, dead even first half, but then they locked down their defenses, only lose 1 round, and they generally looked pretty good on most sides here.
M80 is one of those teams also trying to just dial things in a bit because they've been a big anomaly as far as the NA League is concerned. Amazing performances domestically, not so much internationally, and they have their sights set on the absolute peak. They want to get to a major final. They want to win a major, and to do that, they need to continue to build on what we saw from them in Week 1.
And they tried to pick up a style of team that I would say is the first time that they went for, obviously getting more supportive players. And I think that showed a lot last week with the droning and the way that they were taking time, obviously relying a lot on cameraman for those last couple of seconds of execute, especially against a very turtle-heavy wildcard. You'd love to see the leadership step up and be able to carry M80 through just that little extra step, especially in those last couple of seconds.
Well, everything worked out really good in Game 1, but let's see if Kino thinks that this so far is actually going to surpass just what they did in the first week. We caught up with him real quick.
Hi, my name is Kino, and I'm a professional R6 player for M80. M80's image last year was pretty bad. I'm a big part of it. That's one of the reasons why I got benched. I didn't help the team much, but I definitely want to change that. I'm not gonna put my hands on any expectations, on any goals or anything like that. I'm just here to play my game. I'm just here to, have some fun with my teammates. Having a roster moves is always very stressful. I mean, a lot to work on every time, but I'm looking forward to playing with them. I'm looking forward because it's a brand new team. It's a fresh start, and it's another chance for us to prove ourselves. I think the new players are adjusting pretty well. I already kind of knew the system and how we're gonna work it. Cameraman's English is pretty good. He's been learning specific in-game phrases and stuff, and he's been catching on very, very, very quick. Every day he gets better. I'm very familiar with the coaching staff, with Split, and adjusting with the new players. It's been very easy. I'm not gonna lie. Since we don't have much time, we have to focus a lot on our chemistry, on our team play, because we've never really played with each other besides me and Split. It's a completely new roster that haven't played with each other, so it's hard in a sense, but at the same time, it's enough time. We just have to grind every day and make sure we're putting in enough work before NAL starts.
That's high praise from Kino about his teammates, while also still acknowledging it's a little hard to figure out what to do with a brand new team with a couple players you've never actually gotten lobby time with. But for him and his teammates on Chalet last week, everything looked like it went pretty well, especially for one of his teammates, Noodle, who's also starting up his NAL tenure as of this stage. And we wanted to compare him against one of the newest additions to the Soniqs. He would have been the newest had they not made SI changes. It's him and Ambi for this game, Fox.
I love this comparison because both players obviously are playing a similar role on the attack, being the main entry for the team. Obviously, Soniqs had a huge blowout. Ambi was a big part of that, being able to get in, get those kills. But Noodle, you may look at his statistics and you look at his entry and you're like, how is he entering for his team? How is he getting them through that door without necessarily getting any kills? And because I'll tell you why. He is specializing on just getting the space for his team, especially as the Buck opening up these angles, getting into these difficult corners and adding a little bit of opening so that the player behind him can get that trade successfully every time. And it's nice to see both players having different ways of finding success on a similar role. It doesn't show that there's one specific way on entering. You can create space. Obviously, if you get the kill, it's that much easier.
Ambi on Clubhouse. Your Buck is going to thrive there every single time, and he did that so well. Huge reason they ended up taking that win.
So let's do a deep dive into why Ambi was able to get so much of that pressure. And it's because the Soniqs just looked like they really haven't skipped a beat in spite of picking up two players that are brand new for this stage. They won against Dark Zero, and it was a drubbing. That match went lopsided way sooner than any of us expected. SQ just looked like they pushed Dark Zero until they couldn't handle it anymore, capped off by that brilliant play from Ambi and Gio in the very last round of Club. This thing went haywire for DZ quick.
This team set up really well with the great information, especially coming from Adam and Gio, obviously giving everybody the information that they need, the guidance that they need, and obviously we have to acknowledge Merc just ramming straight through Dark Zero. Whenever a wall was put in front of their way, their next step was to just go straight through it. They didn't pause, they didn't take a moment.
The thing with this team is that you add someone like Merc into the mix here, and you've got to wonder, how does he and how does Adam, who he brought with him, right, fit into the whole picture? And this comes in with all the changes that we're talking about that this team is going under.
Yeah.
But it's a big moment, right? Switching in for Citizen, kind of taking up that maybe a one-for-one swap is a bit of aggressive, but filling that void that he left.
You want to watch that Geo clutch again real quick? I say we watch the Geo clutch one more time.
Please.
The very, very end, he is playing Clash. Ambi has a little bit of cover on him up in CCTV, but this whole thing, the way Geo just keeps his cool and sticks the defuse, just shows why this guy's won a hammer before.
The way he was able to reload and not get punished is baffling to me, that they weren't pushing onto them. Obviously, it felt like they were playing a little too scared in this position, and then Gio was able to hit the nice headshot onto the player on red, and unfortunately, Bolo was locked downstairs. There was nothing that he could do. He just had to watch it happen, but just Gio being able to stay alive, gather that information, be able to constantly put the pressure on the player behind green box, holding everybody down. I mean, the information, I feel like, put them in the best spot, but Gio capitalized on that 1v3.
That doesn't happen without the pressure that Ambi gives him earlier on in that clutch too, so it's everybody working in synergy with one another, and so far, we're hopeful that that sort of trend can continue. But as we keep moving in, we gotta talk about the guy who defected sides and the hole that he's now left on this Soniqs team. Citizen left for greener pastures. Merc is now in his place. Jonah, how significant is a change like this?
I mean, I love this storyline for Citizen here, because when Soniqs were looking to kind of regroup and change things around, right, putting Grixer on the bench, bringing someone in his spot, that's when Citizen gets the chance to move to M80, and he jumps at that opportunity. Some would regard this as a controversial move for the Soniqs too, bringing into players that may not necessarily fit with their system. They had a fantastic performance at SI. Why do you need to change that? Well, they're looking to shift things up, and Merc could be that solution.
He could be the solution. Obviously, he was the solution last week, especially against Dark Zero. He was able to just consistently be one step ahead of Dark Zero. Just nothing was really stopping him, getting in his way. The confidence was the biggest thing that was leading him through, and I think that comes with the lack of pressure on Merc's shoulders. He just has to come in, do his job, and when he has to fill in the shoes of Citizen, he's not necessarily that far off from being as talented as Citizen is.
Is it to say that he's meant to be a one-for-one replacement for Citizen, or is that not the way that you think he's shaping up on this team?
I think Merc has such a in-depth play style on what he can accomplish. Obviously, when he was on TSM, he was able to play a plethora of roles, and I love that he was able to show that last week playing Mav a lot. So he isn't necessarily being the one-for-one operator for a Citizen, but I mean, he's been doing a great job at just flexing his position.
Chalet and Club, by the way, both taken off the board first. And we're seeing Oregon played again. Obviously, neither of these guys played Oregon, so now they're getting a fresh start on a map that, again, I seem to remember Soniqs being really, really good at this map for some particular reason. What do we think of the pick?
I mean, they're good at all the maps, huh? I mean, Clubhouse and Oregon,
obviously
what the heck?
good at
They're
all of them.
insane. No, but in all seriousness, right, an amazing performance on Clubhouse. That will translate here to Oregon quite a bit. I mean, you do have a lot of hard breach focus, and what they showed in that steamrolling over DZ is that they can adapt that play style a little bit based on what their opponents throw at them. DZ didn't adapt enough, and that is something that we're gonna have to see their opponents today deal with. If M80 can stay loose, if the leadership, right, of Cameraman can kind of step up and carry them through, I think we're gonna have a good fight on our hands.
But to counter your point, I think it's really hard for you to just push through an obstacle when it comes to Oregon. Dropping a hatch, it makes things very isolating. So it's going to be a new obstacle for Soniqs to have to tackle. I would agree. I think they're pretty set up really well for this game, but it is still going to be a new challenge in itself.
Who do you think takes this map? Fox?
I'm going to have to go with Soniqs. They just looked so strong last week.
All right, so everybody on the desk, by the way, almost was totally wrong for 2 straight games. So we'll have to see how we correct course here. What did Laxing pick, Jonah?
I actually don't have that in front of me right now. I was waiting for the call.
I'm pretty sure he picked Soniqs.
Okay, pretty sure he picked Soniqs. I mean,
Okay,
the guy didn't
got it.
bring me up backstage. I was waiting for him to explain his reasoning.
I'm okay with it because if we're all wrong, I'm still in the lead.
At this point, yeah, you're totally right. Here's the dealio. At some point, you will get knocked off that pedestal, unless you don't, in which case Jesse will be really pissed that you won the title and he wasn't even
I'm running out of here with the belt after this, so it's fine.
Yep, good point. All right, it's Oregon time. It's M80 and Soniqs, and it's Parker Mackay and Niklas Sportson courtside.
Oh, we've upgraded. We're playing on a court now. This is exciting, Nick. This is so exciting. We do have a Battle of the Titans here, obviously. And I'm intrigued to see these teams with my own set of eyes. Obviously, the matches that we saw last week were quite surprising. Soniqs destroying DZ was not something I had on my bingo card.
I mean, this to me is the match of the day. It's just like there's so much firepower, there's new players, there's new rosters, a new look for both these two teams. I almost want to say it's a shame that it's going to be happening on Oregon of all maps. Like, I want to see something else. The vote though, social prediction, dead even, 50-50, because yeah, both teams are looking very good.
It's a tough one, honestly. I looking right now at predictions, and the overwhelming majority said Soniqs. In fact, almost everybody voted the same way. I'm looking right now at every single prediction here. Wow.
One mind, hive mind.
Yeah, I mean, somebody set the trend, and then the rest of us were just a bunch of lemmings following them off the proverbial predictions cliff. Ying banned out as we now get into the operator ban, and it will be exciting as to how M80 and Soniqs tackle this map. If you tuned in just about an hour ago, you would have known that the wildcard OXG match was played on this exact same map. Operator bans, though, already looking a touch bit different, with Monty being banned out by M80. Aid will go as well. The Ying ban is quite common. She is the most banned attacker right now. As for defenders, Azami and Kaid have led the way into today's play day. We've actually seen a lot of Azami, and we will see Azami here as well. Hold on a second. What is going on with that picture of Warden? Why does he look... What is... He doesn't look well. Let's put it that way. He doesn't look... that boy don't look right.
Oh boy.
What is going on with that Warden picture?
I think I actually saw a debate on Twitter not too long ago about someone made that same observation. It was like, what's happening with this particular picture of this operator? I've seen it before, but you're right, it does not look 100%. Also, this is the classic M80 Monty ban. It's not because Gio is good at Monty, right? It's because Kino shouldn't play the Monty. So this is it's a genius ban, really. M80 are buffing themselves by removing Monty from play. And the Soniqs, they want to play the Monty. That's it's like a bonus. Gone from play.
5 seconds to insertion.
All right.
All right.
All right. Heading into today, Clubhouse was the most picked map with Oregon not too far behind. We started the day off with 1 Clubhouse, and now we have 2 more Oregons, which means that so far we have seen 4 Clubhouses and 4 Oregons and 1 lone chalet, my friend. This is one of the, I guess you could say, downsides of a best of 1 is that when there are a lot of newer teams in the league, they tend to go to these default maps, which we've already talked about every single time it comes up. Clubhouse and Oregon are those default-esque maps.
You're right. No Monty though. Blitz in play. Finger boost in. Kino goes aggressive, but no one's there on the defensive side. Blitz, of course, with the shield rework is it's a quick boy. Like before, he can sprint. He can made it enough from a safe distance. No hip fire, however, and your feet are always exposed. Even when crouch walking, you're standing still as a shield player, your toes will be sticking out. So when we tend to watch these new shield players in this season, they're always constantly moving, jiggling back and forth because you're no longer safe by standing still. Of course, Kino takes big tower control. He's gonna vibe out, hold that staircase passively. M80, they want map control, they want everything. Lobby, freezer, big tower. Then join out the bomb site, and then figure out where their approach is gonna be going from. Defense, all about utility. Assignment, like you said, Parker, open and used in this round by Ambi. There to down, fortifying positions. Goyo fire from Adam, gonna stall out the attack, and of course, once that push comes through, their fire will be going out with defense as well.
Changes to this M80 roster dominated a lot of the conversation in the offseason because of just how big of a change it was. I mean, you brought in cameraman all the way from Brazil. You decided to keep Kino on this roster, even though he'd been benched at SI. Spoit is technically the one long-standing member. I suppose you could throw Kino in there as well. Noodle brought over from playing in the Middle East. Citizen brought over from the Soniqs. And of course, technically, if you want to split hairs, none of the players on this team are technically North Americans. This Kino plays under the Brazilian flag as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So you talked in the previous matchup about how Ash's charges now break mirror windows. You could have seen it right there. M80 using one of those Ash charges just to deny a window from Soniqs. This is very interesting round so far. 20 seconds in, and it looks like M80's changed up where they're going to attack on 3 different times. Now they'll go through Freezer. Rexon, the first one to engage, on to Cameraman. Cameraman wins that duel, though. Ambi punished by Bomb Chassis, but not before Soniqs can actually get on the board and basically kill everybody except for Kino. Over by Blue. He takes the head off of Adam. He runs out of time. Soniqs will win the very first round based on the clock, but my, it sure seemed like M80 took their sweet time getting into the bomb site.
No, I will say though, it was a very quick adaptation from M80 when things didn't really go the way they wanted to. They were clearly wanting to go for a bottom laundry take into the bomb site, but they did it with like 30 or so seconds left. The moment that the smokes came out from the attacking side and they were gonna storm the site itself, guess what? Defense popped the Goyo canister. That fire lasts for 20 seconds. But the impressive thing from M80, they immediately swapped the freezer. No, no seconds were wasted. They just changed the plan on the fly. But the issue is, when you're changing the plan like that last second, it's not gonna be perfect. There were some gaps there. There are player positions that weren't really hit. The coordination necessarily not 100%, but again, when you change with so few seconds left, that's the downside. That's the kind of price that you pay. But Soniqs playing good utility. That's all that it is. The mirror windows, the Goyo canisters. It's about trying to problem solve on the attack with utility. When you play the Blitz, you lose self-destruction, for example. That Blitz could have theoretically been a Forest. Then you can deal with all that stuff during the middle of the round, so that when you want to go for that execute, the Goyo canisters have already been burned. That's not going to be an issue for you. It's a lesson learned, though, from M80. I'm sure next time they attack basement, that's not going to be a problem. It's those small adaptations that we need to keep track of as we see those bombs are being played.
Talked about the drone operators as well in the previous match that tend to pop up on Oregon, whether it be a Flores, whether it be a Twitch, whether it be a Brava. No drone ops being brought, but instead we will see Grim quite regularly. Sophia now riding along with Citizen is an operator that has tons of potential in the meta, but is just right now outclassed in a lot of ways by other operators. We'll see how Citizen uses his pull shot.
I know he's holding an ankle. Got that cross road. Oh, okay. Alright. Merc with the wall bang. Just like that takes down Citizen. And now, we spoke about Bosco earlier in our previous matchup. I love seeing him back. I'm a big believer of Merc, actually. When TSM had that SI miracle run, Merc was just running over people. Then we see him in Wildcard with some roster changes later on after TSM running over people. Now Noodle joining the fray as well. Getting a kill onto Rexon. He's also one of those aggressive entry type players where Noodle, Citizen, pretty much anybody in the server, to be fair, can just be popping off. So at 4v5, at 4v4, it doesn't matter. You can never count either side out here, especially not on Oregon, where things can get very hectic, very chaotic out of nowhere.
Exactly. Action can happen in a hurry. Sorry, words are very challenging today for some reason. Yeah. I think it's like an eclipse or there's a full moon or something. Something in the water, I'm not sure. Attic opened up now. As M80 want to dig their claws into this bomb site, Merc doesn't know that Kino is posted up in a spot that Citizen was on just earlier. That's the opening in closet and will now get swung on, losing the duel to Adam, who sacrifices over half of his HP for that kill. A worthy sacrifice. Still at top white stairs, still looking for more. 3v3. M80 will need to retrieve that diffuser. Nice shot from Spoit onto Geo, who's playing by the bunks near big window. Bees will go out, and Ambi is cornered next to that bomb chassis. Cameraman letting his utility do the work, but also wants to play it at the same time, and will just continue toy with the window. Adam outguns Spoit. A second kill coming in now from the same player on Soniqs. Noodle compelled into action. Down goes the Warden. It's all up to Adam to clutch out at top of white, being watched by Cameraman. Lots of damage being done, but Adam swings and gets the kill. He'll head for home, but he loses it out to Noodle after a brief bit of hesitation. M80 win the round.
50-50 gamble there. AC planting left or AC planting right. Of course, you'd assume he's planting on that default location. It's gotta be on the right-hand side. No, you are wrong. You picked the wrong one. But I will say, Cameraman with a great read strategically in that round for the attack. Rotate to Kid Storm's window, and the beasts go out. And just like we see demos being used sometimes to kind of isolate players and stop them from aggressing and moving around the map, so was Scrim in that round. Cameraman was on Kid Storm rappel for 40 seconds straight. He was using one B at a time, just locking down the Warden inside of Kid Storms. And when the plan kind of fell apart, Cameraman just said, hey Noodle, just swing the Kid Storm rotate. I got the red ping on him. Just, you win that gunfight, trust me. And once you win that gunfight, you can plant inside of kids instead. Last guy is stuck on white staircase. That was just problem solving 101 from M80 by understanding the player positions from Soniqs and seeing, hey, these guys messed up. They got a retake now from a staircase. They're in a really poor position. And even though Cameraman might have over-aggressed in the window, got taken out way too early in the round, he still set his team up for a successful 1v1. Great stuff all around. Get a second round already. This is exactly the kind of situation you want to find yourself in on Oregon attack. Not going down 0-2, not going down 0-3, but get one of those rounds early on to keep things competitive.
Sonic started off really strong there. Merc in particular, the one player that you wanted to give some credit to. A lot of impact upstairs. He's playing that spot now. M80, by the way, getting very aggressive here. Deciding to punish Attic, or at least try to. Spoit had an altercation in split, and then as well over towards Attic, but didn't find anything for his troubles. Instead, he'll go back. Survive for the time being.
Do you think that a lot of this comes down to controlling the pace? If you let Soniqs run over you, they will run over you. M80, despite, they fall in gunfights sometimes to Merc's aggression, they're not afraid to fight back. They're gonna keep fighting back. And because they already got one Oregon round in the first two, they can now risk things a little bit more. They got one in the back, right? They can now have some fun with this, make an aggressive play if they want to. They can take those risks. It's only when you start facing oh, we're down on match point. If we lose this round, it's over. That's when you're kind of scared to make this heroic. Right now, not the case. Bravo was in action there, trying to hack and the batteries, not successful. Gio finds the drone. M80, they were quick in the beginning. They got inside the building. They got into a confrontation. But since then, they've mostly been droning, rotating out the map here, trying to prioritize that big power portion of the map. They have no OSA, they have no shields in the attack, they have no easy way to establish a plant here, but they're gonna try for it.
Flash will go out to accompany the line scan that had just gone before that from Spoit, who, as we saw early on, was in the building within the first 15 to 20 seconds of this round. A little bit over a minute to go. M80 gets ever closer to this meeting bomb site. They know there's one player in there. They've seen bullet tracers from kitchen door as well, as Gio is prone on the ground. I don't know if Kino is expecting this. First casualty of this round is Merc, as Noodle eliminates him. Like, surely Kino hears this, right? Like, it's very loud. Gio is just army crawling his way. He's a worm. Gio is a worm, and he's doing worm things on the ground. Unfortunately for him, the sun came out and the worm dried up, and now the worm is dead. Soniqs losing all of their duels. M80 a single kill away from winning this one flawlessly. Adam denies that. Only good for one kill, though, as the diffuser had gone down. M80 topples Soniqs in that round, winning on the tertiary bomb site and going up 2-1.
A good look there, especially Kino on the intro of all things. I mean, Gio is one of these players that is he's very special. He's very unique. He loves to play positions where he looks absolutely doomed and then make it work. And in that particular round, he made it work for a very long time. He was a worm instead of meeting in an impossible position. No way in, no way out, just stuck in the corner. And he ended up swinging here, prone peeking, because the bees were coming. The second he gets spotted by the bees, he is definitely doomed. He lost the 50-50 gunfight. After Kino gets a double, he gets the plant down, etc. Things fall apart. But Gio is just one of those players where he loves playing. When you have the line that you do, Ambi, Adam, Rex, and Merc around Gio, he is also the guy to put in those positions. Where you just like, it's all about just waiting, being patient, and utilizing your position, not so much your aim. Let the aimers do the aiming, and let you do the braining. That's really all what it's about right now, playing the right players in the right roles. M80 up already now, as you said, 2-1. They're gonna blow up their attacker lineup twice now in the attacker repick phase. They're showing us some blitz. They're considering an OSA for a short moment there. Now they're in the Capital and Dokkaebi instead. M80 clearly favoring the roam clear by playing the Dokkaebi here, thinking, hey, there's gonna be active members probably in the first floor or top floor from Soniqs, and they would be correct. Gio again in this very front floor position, roaming top floor with Solis with pretty much no real support. It's just him against the world. And he's dead.
He's not the only one. He'll be joined at the great beyond with Merc.
I mean, that's great. It's just, again, the Dokkaebi attacker repick there, they just pop the call, they sprint into the building. And the thing is, when you play a Pro League round like this, it's all about timings in the server. You tend to know as a player where the enemy is going to be at certain times in the round. 2:11, they can be at this spot. 1:30, they can be in this position. There are certain timings, like, oh, on the basement roam clear, you're supposed to breach the hatches to the bomb site at about 1:20 to 1:40 seconds in the round. If you break that timing by just sprinting to the building, you saw Gio. He's on his scanner. He's looking for drones. The round just began, but because M80 is so quick to the punch, he gets caught off guard. He dies for free. And now M80, they're actually all by the bomb site. 2 outside blue. Cameraman bottom main stairs. Might just make that last phone call and just go for side here.
2 of the remaining players on Soniqs have yet to register a kill as well. That is a troubling situation, as Ambi and Rexen have been held off of the score sheet. Adam looked very good in the previous round. You're going to need a very strong performance here. As Citizen is reduced, Ambi trying to retake Laundry Stairs. He gets swatted away. Now it's Rexen looking towards E-Box. Adam and Freezer on a sliver of HP kills Kino. Now it's Rexen to get on the board. Soniqs putting these last 2 players in their positioning to good use, though Rexen is now reduced to almost rubble. Might as well use that Nitro Cell. You don't know how much more time you have in this round. Rexen playing by this bomb chassis. He's being watched by Blue, also over by Pillar, flattened by Noodle. Adam last man standing inside a freezer. Smart glasses on. Nice shot on the cameraman. Goodness gracious. The Nitro Cell looked like it was ready to be released. As Adam now has to work against the timer being planted, the diffuser being planted, timer running. But it's Spoit standing pat over on Pillar, and we have a we are looking inside the minds of these M80 gamers. M80 on attack on Oregon, showing off some serious firepower and strategic depth. All played by them.
I mean, it's looking really good. You know, Oregon has the nickname of Oregon because there are so many matches that are just like a dread to watch. They're slow, nothing happens. It's the same stuff that before. And then we see these kinds of rounds where a team will just storm the building and there's pretty much action the entire way through, or something's at least going on. And with that, Soniqs will call a technical timeout. They feel overwhelmed. They feel that they're getting run over, which is exactly what is going on. Unless this timeout just like makes things click for them, they get like a 2-4 or a 3-3 on defense, I am slowly gonna start counting them out. Because again, this is attack Oregon. This is the quote-unquote harder side. M80, they make it look easy 3 rounds in a row.
Speaks volumes about this M80 team and the potential that they had. Because they are, like so many of the other teams that we see here in the NAL, a brand new squad.
Yep.
All 3 of our matches that we have seen up to this point have involved a brand new team. Beast Coast assembled right before the start of this stage. Wildcard doing the same thing, a completely different look for these teams. And now it's M80 with a brand new look. I mean, you could extend that and say that LG and Soniqs have new looks too because of the changes they made, but the core is still there. Their identity is still there. Our next matchup that will follow this is Dark Zero versus Space Station. You know those teams, you know those players. They made very minimal changes in the offseason. Technically, DZ didn't make a change in the offseason because they locked in their roster before SI. Space Station dropped Houghton and picked up Iconic off of the old M80 squad.
What you're saying is Bolo plays Nick.
I'll give it a rest.
That's all I need to know. And I'll be there, no matter what. Now,
You know what? Hold on. You know what's funny? This is the North American League. There are more British players in the NAL than there are Canadian players right now. Spirits and Canadian are the only 2 Canadian players actively competing in the NAL, whereas you've got Nafe, Citizen, and Noodle, who Noodle splits his allegiance between Poland and Great Britain. But either way, we still consider that as an active player. I thought that was quite
It's a
interesting.
skill issue, really. That's what it comes down to. You can't buy talent. Canada, don't have much of it apparently in Siege.
It's weird. Only one of the most iconic people to ever compete in this game's name is literally Canadian.
Oh, he's the outlier. He's like the exception to the rule here. Now we gotta talk about the Clash, by the way, because another team, 3 for 3, have brought out Clash here. First
Yeah, but it's
matchup,
Geo.
second
It's
matchup.
Geo.
Yeah, it's Geo, but still, it's Clash. It's like we don't see this all that often. And it's again, every team does it in a different way, on a different side. Great kill from there. Working off the intel that Geo gave him as well in the Clash. They get the kill, they have map control, and Geo can retake that closer position if he wants to at any point because he's playing the Clash operator.
The reason why I say it's Geo is because does it surprise you that Geo is playing a shield operator? No, it shouldn't. At this current point in time, if Geo does not play a single shield operator in a match, it is something that we might want to note.
That's true. He does a great job of being useful at, again, like enabling the teammates around him. That's why he plays those shield ups. Also why Monty was literally banned by M80 as a countermeasure. And, if you're getting run over by your opponents when they are on the attack, why not slow things down by playing the Clash? By playing Melusi? Soniqs have changed their approach right now on defense, saying, hey, we want to fight the players with utility because we're losing gunfights.
There goes the final EE1D in the Clash. Will slow down Spoit's advancement through Trophy. Nice shot onto Merc, falling around, but the shield will absorb all these blows. Geo turns around and makes it work with the super shorty, but Soniqs only have Rexon left with the diffuser running against him. To make his way out of dorms, he dies at Kino's hands. The timeout does not work. M80 look unstoppable at the moment.
They do. I mean, again, adaptations are great. It means that there's an active, communication on the side of Soniqs, being like, hey guys, this is not working. Let's try and change it up. But M80, they're adapting as well. They read the play. They see the weakness. They say 3, 2, 1, go for our plant. The only one that can walk into us is a Clash with a shield up. They can't stop the diffuser. They can maybe get a kill like we saw, the little 180, 180 again, shotgun switch. But that doesn't matter if the bomb goes down. It doesn't matter if you win your gunfights elsewhere on the bomb site, which M80 once again, they do correctly. And now you're in a very difficult position if you're Soniqs. You're losing basement bomb site, which is your primary. You're losing kit storms, your secondary bomb site. You almost feel as if you should play tertiary bomb site because nothing else is working. But statistically, that is also a terrible idea. So nothing's working. Soniqs just gotta go for broke. And again, it might just come down to minuscule things like who wins a gunfight, those 50-50 engagements. But when you have so much firepower up against you, it is hard to just say, hey, just be better. Because you're up against really strong players yourself in the lineup of M80. Once again, it's basement, and things will stay the same from the attacking side. Always Togepi, sometimes the Blitz, always the Grim. That's like the key operators. However, it's different players playing those operators. Cameraman, he played, for example, Grim on opposite attack. On basement, he plays Ibana. Now it's Noodle who plays Grim instead. Citizens on Togepi. Kino, of course, stays as a shield operator, nothing changes there. But M80, they're showing how flexible they are with this roster, despite it being very new for them still.
It's the back and forth between these teams as well, where you have a really good week and then you have some very obvious struggles. The last week, Soniqs crushing DZ 7-2 on Clubhouse was something that I don't think a lot of us expected. Sure, maybe Soniqs can win, but by that scoreline, that's really something else. M80 eating wild card on Chalet wasn't a terrible surprise either. But again, this M80 team, if you go back to the old roster, was always spoken of so highly, but had very obvious issues with coordination and just overall team chemistry. I will say that M80 are excelling right now, but through these two games that we've seen, I don't know if it's because M80 are looking strong as a team or if it's just because they have such a skilled roster of individuals.
It's a fair point. But the question is then, does it really matter? At least for right now. Domestically, this is enough. But as you said, M80, they were a great team domestically before. They made every single event, basically. But they would bottom out, going home in groups, getting first rounded, and that's not good enough. It's why they blew up the roster, kicking every single player but Sport, and of course Kino returning. They want to do better at majors, at international events. So, you need domestic success to qualify, then you gotta do more. Individual performance can beat Soniqs right now in the server, but you need that great teamwork to excel at a bigger stage and against bigger opponents. Right now, it's a great look. Great pace, it's a great round from 88 once again. Shattering mirror windows, dealing with utility, opening up hatches, roam clearing quickly and effectively. They got those score canisters popped, they got 40 seconds, they got Beast of Noodle, they got Kino on the Monty, they have no phone call from Togepi. So intel will be limited based off sound. Beast here from Noodle, they gotta spot some players to work with.
Adam's gonna get lead off pick with 30 seconds to go. He's looked like the best player on Soniqs round by round, but the rest of the team coming into action. Adam with a nice kill. Looking for number 10. Spoy taking down Merc. Spoit's the only one left standing, and it's Adam to break double digits. Tra-la-la-la, he says as he runs away, and Soniqs will win the round.
Just like that, they've finally figured out their problems. But again, it's that basement bomb side. It's so hard to attack against. It comes down to a lot of factors. And Soniqs, they held on this time. They get a 2-4 half on Oregon, starting on defense, however. This upcoming round, the first in the side swap, very important. This is the moment where M80 will either build a significant lead, going 5-2, or Soniqs, they start mounting that comeback and working their way back round by round, one at a time. Because that's how you gotta look at this as a player. Doesn't matter if it's 0-0, 5-5, or whatever. Just one round at a time until that victory or loss screen comes in front of you, and then it's over. Use. That's
Hold on, it's not locked in yet.
Let's hope that changes.
Come on. Why do you have to spoil it?
You know, I died to a fuse puck this morning in Seed. Doesn't happen very often, but you just get it. Can be quite quite good sometimes, you know? You stand on site, minding your own business, pucks come flying across the goddamn room, bang, you're dead. Just like that. We've seen Flash being played today a lot. Why not some Fuse gameplay as well? You can now use them on reinforced walls and hatches. There must be something you can do with that. Also, I think Citizen with a small counterplay here. He's sitting in the middle of classroom on a mute jammer, by the way. Then you're expecting a Dokkaebi to be played. They make the call and they go in fast. Then Kino is baiting it by playing meeting. So, pretty maybe a specific like counter strategy preparing here, or like a pocket strat from the defense. Doesn't work out. No Dokkaebi, no phone call, and he goes in top.
Bambi's still searching for his kill. That was the first half in the books, by the way, where M80 prevailed 4-2. Now we'll see how they can muster a defense on a map that has a distinction of being very defender-sided through much of its history, especially since the rework. Retooling Oregon to try and make it a bit fresh, maybe not as stale as it was after, 6-7 years of being played at the top level. But you got to expect M80 will be happy with this side swap. They're still playing very aggressively. Kino, you blink and you miss it. Suddenly he's up to 8 kills. He's a name that we actually haven't been saying all that often. Might just be because the action has been breaking out in such quick bursts. Ambi thought that Kino was the main adversary for him, but instead it was Citizen in this position, who's now punished by Geo. Ambi will go yet another round without a kill. Disappointing performance for a player that quite literally turned 18 right before SI. Played some of the hardest matches in Rainbow Six Esports as his debut. He did decently well at SI as well.
Oh, he's done great so far. Definitely proven himself to be like worthy of playing a first play of Siege, but rating 1-for-1 always favors defense here. Because again, you have even numbers, but you got the bomb side. Citizen, yeah, he's a great player. He's 2-5 right now, so statistically, not a bad player to lose compared to that of Kino, for example, as you said, sitting on 8 kills. And time also is a problem. Oil canisters, they're gonna stall for 20 seconds. You got C4 on cameraman as well. And Soniqs don't look like they got the setup ready just yet. They only got 30 seconds. They gotta go. Gridlock, stingers, flashbangs, headshots. Here they are.
Noodle a kill for M80, but the numbers will equalize because Adam, whose name we will keep saying over and over again, proving his worth on this Soniqs roster through this matchup. Merc not too far behind him as it's this split execute. Rexon, Andre Stairs smoking it off. He's got the cut and the rotation for cameraman. Now Rexon will assume the position to get that diffuser down. It's all up to Noodle in a 1v3. He gets slaughtered by Merc, who looked like he was looking in a different direction. Fascinating stuff. Soniqs bring the game within a single round.
Yep, and that was that very important moment there. Can they actually close the gap, or will it slowly slip away here? And it's a great execute, really. It didn't look like they had the time in that round necessarily, but it made it also playing very far back, almost looking like they were expecting a big tower blue tick or something like that. They gave up laundry. Yeah, okay, they know the enemy has the capital. Maybe they don't want to risk themselves getting fired off by the capital bow. Fair enough. But they're almost allowing Soniqs to just walk in and plant for relatively free. Playing all the way in back pillar, playing inside of elbow, inside of blue. And again, not really finding the important parts of the map. We see right now big resources here being put down towards the blue portion of the map, which in that last round just wasn't relevant. That's what you're kind of gambling though. You got front takes and you got back takes. If you put all your stuff to one side, enemy's probably gonna go to the other. That's just mathematics. Why make it harder for yourself by attacking the stronger side? Well, please don't. Dagger lineups though, going through the motions again. Decisions as to what utility to bring. Capital, Grim, Forest, that utility of course always being brought out. Adam on the gridlock, like a last round being brought. You get the nade, you get a shotgun, you get some flank block. Of course, gridlock's gadget can really remove a lot of your game sound. It's an extremely loud gadget when it's causing out those stingers. Ambi07, last round got caught off guard. This time they gotta tighten up on the roam clear inside of Soniqs. Make sure they drone more and find those lone roamers if there are any.
Gridlock coming out again as the lineup for Soniqs looks very similar, and Well, with this being Oregon, it's not a terrible surprise to see a lack of bona fide hard breach. Instead, the secondary hard breach will be brought in the hands of 3 players on Soniqs. Rexon's Capital, Merc's Grim, and Ambi's Buck, who is still looking for his first kill. We started this matchup about a half hour ago, give or take. He's still looking for something. Ambi is playing utility operator, so it's not like you're not gaining value out of the Buck. He's played for 2 rounds so far, but Ambi is certainly a very talented player, and Soniqs' likelihood of success increases greatly if Ambi can hit the scoreboard.
Yeah. I mean, Ambi is still a young player, like you mentioned last round, and it can get to your mental when you go like 0-3, 0-4, in this case 0-7. Ambi needs 1 kill, then he'll probably be activated and become more alive again. See 4 players towards bottom laundry right now, just looking to make a play. Drones going out left and right, the terror drones too, the jammer stops it however. And again, we're still in that second phase this round. Utility dumping, clearing out those important things. But the mirror windows cannot be dealt with this lineup from Soniqs. No Kali, no Ash, and no proper hard breach. So intel is true for defense. You can utilize those power positions still available to them. Both mirrors are facing Laundry and Freezer, so it's all for front side.
There's been a lot of mute jammer action so far as well, denying Soniqs very valuable and precious intel through this round. The drones that you see being spent consistently. It's a bit surprising. Boy, now watching the fire behind him as Ambi finally gets on the board. Adam out-dueled by Spoit looking for another, but the fire looked to do some serious damage before Rexon could finish it off. Now Rexon will plant the diffuser in the exact same spot. M80 now will scramble to get up there as Geo and Ambi bleed out. This is a 2v2, very winnable for M80. No Rexon, or Merc rather, over by Freezer. We can't deal with him at all. Merc finishes things off. He's been excellent on this bomb site. He was great in this spot on defense, and now just as good on those 2 rounds of attack, and we have a tie game between these teams.
Just like that, seemingly out of nowhere, and it comes down to the exact same problem as last time from M80. They're playing so far back. What they're doing is that they're putting 2 mirror windows, one for Laundry, one for Freezer, and they play the Asami keyword barriers as well, and they think that's enough to hold that portion of the map. Then they play 3 guys on backside, holding Big Tower, Meeting Hatch, and Blue Double Door. They got Barbire, they got, deployable shield, etc. But the way that Oregon Basement tends to work in pro play is that you need to figure out how many attackers are attacking the front. If that's 4 attackers, you want to send, if possible, 4 defenders and match the firepower, match the utility. That's not what M80 are doing successfully. Not at all. They're playing 2 against 4 and then 3 against 1. Which is like, great, 3 against 1, they win. But the issue is, it's the other side where the attackers are coming from with the majority of their firepower, where diffuser goes down. And we know in Siege, once that diffuser gets planted down, the post plant is disgustingly favoring the attack. It's like 75-85% win rate once bomb goes down, unless you're like in a 1v3 or 1v4 or something like that on most bomb sites. So as long as bomb goes down, you're happy losing bodies. You're happy dying on the back end of Big Tower because it doesn't matter to the overall story of the round. So now it's tied up. M80, they're trying to extend now, change the bomb site, go upstairs instead, play Big Tower and deny drones. Try and play as dynamic on this bomb site as possible, but it comes at a cost. If Citizen overstays his welcome inside a Big Tower, he will die before falling back to reinforce off the wall. So it's this fine line of, hey, apply pressure, kill some drones, but fall back before it's too late.
One thing that M80's actually excelled at is dealing with all the drones, Nick. Previous round, it was the mute jammers that were such a great degree of difficulty to overcome for Soniqs. Despite that, they still won the round. This time, mute will be in the hands of Noodle. So if you have to... Well, if you have to drone out the site, you got to be a little bit more careful. This lineup by Soniqs looks all too familiar. They've brought a proper hard breacher this time. They've still got backup, though, with Merc holding those secondary hard breach gadgets. But teams don't really bring many of those pocket EMPs anymore. They'll just go with a Thatcher whose ban rate has fallen off of a cliff. wasn't that long ago where Thatcher was being banned all of the time. The fact that he remains unbanned allows teams to use him, change those pocket EMPs, obviously freeing him up. I'm not sure if Spoit knew that there was somebody behind him, but Amy gets one of the freest kills of his life after Spoit had eliminated Rexen. Remember when I said that Soniqs had backup for Hard Breach? Well, it's a good thing they do, because that's the ace dead from SQ.
Ooh.
Ambi, excuse me.
Okay.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
I mean, man was 0 rate out of this game. Now he's 3-8 finding a highly impactful kills in this particular round. ADS clearing, or Might is clearing rather, getting the shield too. So really good progress being made out of nowhere because Ambi finds those picks.
Grenade from Geo goes in, and M80, who looked like they were going to skate the finish line relatively easily, breaking Soniqs early on, forcing SQ to take a timeout so early in the matchup. M80 themselves might now be in a position where they have to call the timeout. Ambi was attempting the diffuser, but suddenly Kino comes out of nowhere. A 2v2 to be had. Kino looking for another, but guess who it is from Soniqs? It's Adam. Noodle from down below pulls out the shotgun. He'll have to go through the rails. As now he repositions. They know where he is. So it should be easy for Soniqs to just watch top white, which is sealed off. Merc getting the diffuser down successfully. Noodle in such a troubling predicament as Mr. 14 kills of Adam will look for a 15th kill. Soniqs hoping to take the lead. Been a rough go in that sense for them, but now they move to attack, and we are looking at a very favorable attacker side at Oregon. Noodle getting ever closer to that diffuser, does some damage to Adam, but Soniqs are just playing keep aways. They'll both look for final kill in the same direction. Noodle spotted. There go, the bullet's over his head, and it's 15 kills for Adam. Phenomenal and impressive play from Adam. Picked up alongside Merc after Grixer was benched and Citizen asked for his release to go to M80, or well, don't know if he asked for it to go to M80 or just asked for his release and then was picked up by M80. But after losing 4 rounds in a row, it does not surprise me at all that we will see a timeout called here by M80.
No, I mean, this is the time. This is before it gets too dire. And it comes down to, I mean, it's how you play these rounds, what your philosophy is, because from M80, they started things off well, and then they got caught off guard. You know, they died on the master bedroom side, and we got a ridiculous kill, which you kind of just cross off if you're M80. Like, okay, that happens, and we popped off, whatever. But generally speaking, they just cannot contain the attackers whatsoever. They look so locked out in so many of these rounds when it comes to map control, when it comes to, I almost want to say, like, confidence of fighting back, really. And yeah, we don't see attacker side organs all that often, but if you're really good at attacking, you can make it look this kind of way. And I mean, yeah, with the multi-ban, I was thinking maybe that's going to be an issue for these teams on the attacking side, because some teams do crutch on it. Same with the Ying. You really heavily rely on those operators. Not the case right now. Both teams showing they can play a different style of Siege, not involving either of those 2 power operators, and making it work just the same.
Oh, wait to get back to the game in just a second here. I love the differing camera angles. It's like Spoit's camera is like pretty okay. Kino's is all right. Maybe it's a little out of focus, but Noodle and Citizen are zoomed in like the Hubble telescope. I'm assuming this is a tech pause that we have right now.
Yeah, I got a quick rehose coming in. I didn't see what the players are typing in the chat, but a bunch of question marks all I saw, and then one player just like disappeared. We'll be back shortly. Now, so
this is a one and done for both of these teams. Due to technical issues last week, there have been a series of games tacked on to the next coming broadcasts. For those that haven't followed along, the 10th spot in the North America League was owned by Mirage. After a series of issues with the organization and with the roster, it was announced just the other day that Mirage would be disqualified and would be forfeiting the remainder of their matches, including all previous matches that they were supposed to play, which was played on March 15th, quote unquote, played against Beast Coast, but ultimately was a 7-0 disqualification that went in favor of Beast Coast. As far as I have been told, they'll be walking back that verdict. Every single team that is playing Mirage will receive an immediate win. But because of what happened on Thursday, while we go down 1 game, We then go back up one game because while the Mirage games won't be played, all of the matches from our very first play day have been spread out. So you will see Beast Coast versus OXG to end today's broadcast. Beast Coast were in action earlier today, and spoilers, they lost to the Luminosity Gaming 4-7. OXG were also in action earlier today, and again, spoilers, they defeated Wildcard Gaming 7-3. Dark Zero versus SSG is up next. What is it about this matchup that is pushing it to be so attacker favored?
I think it comes down to the players that you have in the server. Like, for example, when you have... Alright, first of all, when you have Adam hopping off that he is, I mean, what is it, 15 kills now? I mean, that alone is going to be a big driving factor for a lot of these attackers. You're just finding kill after kill after kill out of nowhere. But also, when you have players like Merc, who is such an aggressive player on the attacking side, really good at reading the pace of the game, taking up space and map control, and just generally speaking, both teams, they have players who are not afraid to go for plays, right? And that always favors the attack. You see a small gap, you see a small opportunity, you take it, you win that gunfight, and you push there as a team. No one's afraid of making that. Often when we see Oregon, teams are playing very timid. They're playing, oh guys, save, let's get to the bomb side, 5v5 action, 3, 2, 1, go, complete chaos. Most of these rounds from either side, we've seen pretty much half the server is dead before that 3, 2, 1 execute, with the exception of when the defenders, they play basement with no roamers. Because of course, then you're gonna have a 5v5. So it really comes down to just so many small kills happening throughout the round, which again, usually favors the attackers in this. I think Operator lineup, we saw Soniqs, for example, they tried to play like Clash and Melusi one round, just like slow down the attack, again, like reduce the possibility of playmaking. But when you start playing really passive gadgets, and you play very passive on the bomb side, again, you just give up the space. The attackers just walked in, ignored the Clash, ignored the Melusi, defenders are stuck in like really silly corners on the bomb side itself, on Kid Storms, not the strongest side itself, and then again, defenders lose. So while you have to play passive and watch out for not dying to silly stuff, you also cannot just stop swinging and taking gunfights entirely, because then attackers will thrive. We're back!
We are! Perfect timing. I don't know if you deliberately planned that so it would end. I don't know if you had any greater information, but...
Parker, you know that casters, they control when the game starts.
Of course. This is something I learned very early on, actually, was that, yeah, when you say caster start the game actually starts much quicker. Is this a real Blackbeard, by the way, or are we going to see Adam swap off of it at the final seconds? The Deimos of Geo looked locked in and ready to go. Oh, yes, Adam goes to Dokkaebi.
You on the line. No Waymos, Deimos, unfortunately.
Pocket EMPs coming out, though, in the hands of Adam, as, again, Soniqs will go with a hard breacher-less lineup. This time, they'll be Merc and Rexen bringing those secondary hard breach gadgets. You call them can openers.
Yep. Actually, a fun fact was Citizen who taught me that term when he joined G2 back in the day. He was like, why do I bring them can openers? I'm like, what is a can opener? That's the secondary hard breach gadget. Looks like a can opener from top down. So, Citizen kind of coined that term as far as I know. And he's here.
Merc already in the building. Starting out over by Small Tower, working his way through Dining. This is a downstairs hold from M80, looking for some success thus far on defense. Conventional wisdom would suggest that defenders are usually in a very good spot on Oregon, but conventional wisdom has been thrown out the window with this matchup, as the attackers have had a very clear upper hand through the entirety of the 9 rounds played.
Yeah, that has definitely been the case. Remember earlier we spoke about pacing and when you should be expecting things to happen, those timings. You start reaching patches about 120 to 140 or so. We're right in that area. And Soniqs are all in the building, and very well, yeah, there we go. They're gonna start opening up hatches at 128. So a decent pace right now for the attack. They're gonna have enough time to both deal with, again, the roam, reaching, and then of course, figuring out the weaknesses on the bomb set itself. Basement, the one-sidedness in Time of Oregon that often plays out in a 5v5 or a 4v4 fashion, where it's all about that final execute. Opening kill, very important. Control over pillar and blue for backside, very important. And of course, playing freeze and holding down that as well, also a priority for most defending teams. We see the beast of Merc here in the meeting hatch, as well as the defuse on Adam. That's probably going to be the primary point of execute here for Sonic.
Still plenty of time left as well. It's not like Sonics are working against the clock. They just hit the 45-second remaining mark. Adam continuing on with just incredible play. Ambi dies, Adam goes down as well. M80 having their best and most successful rebuff of the Sonics assault so far in this matchup. M80 takes their lumps for it though. Noodle being severely damaged. Rexen as well, low HP. These Kiba barriers in blue. Greatly assisting Citizen, who really isn't living up to the muster. When you look at how he's playing against his former team, only 2 kills so far. Hoping for more, he drops Geo down. That's 1 for him to go up to 3. Rexen, last one standing from Sonics, and M80 will once again tie the game. These two teams evenly matched, and finally M80 is able to put a single defender round in their win column.
Yeah, out of 4 rounds, they win a single one. The 3rd attempt at basement, by the way. So, yeah, they win this one. Great. But now for the following 2 rounds, it's locked. They have to go to secondary and then lose and go secondary again. Or, of course, go secondary/tertiary. Those are their options. So, yeah, you can win when it's the easier option, but now it becomes more and more difficult every single victory. This round matters so much more than that of the previous, for the side of Immediate. For Sonics, it's just another round. And they do a lot better typically on the upstairs attack, because you have all those like open angles to work with. You can find those opening picks, you can spread yourself out more thin essentially on the attacking side, and enable all that individual performance from Ambi, from Adam, from Mert, from Rexen as well. Whereas mostly just Dio, who's like that solid mid-section player, who will hold a flank, or drone freeze teammates, pop that global ability off the line, etc. So again, I want to see M80 fight for the space with confidence, and not just give things up for free. They're playing Melusi, they're playing Frost, they're playing Mute, they're playing operators that will slow the round down a little bit, but they also have great guns on all of those operators. Now we see Citizen actively playing deep inside a big tower. Got the barbed wire downstairs, has a Q barrier. This is much more commitment than last time, where Citizen kind of, he went into tower, shot a single drone, and immediately gave it up. This looks like they actually want to commit to that decision, and not just fall back.
Spoit sitting at top armory stairs, waiting for somebody to improperly drone and run by. Already heard that blunder with Kino and... was it Citizen that was playing down below in Classroom where...
Yep, Kino Citizen, yep.
Sitting on the mute jammer, and you had Kino playing longer range over by split, and obviously Sonics don't drone that one out effectively. They end up dying because of it. Ambi started off slow, as did Rexen. Both struggled to get kills until later into this contest. Now Ambi has found 3 to his name, but still a 3 and 10 is a far cry from what Ambi is able to do. If Adam wasn't playing the way he is, this matchup could, in theory, be over. That's how close it's been between these two teams, and how much of a difference maker Adam has been so far. Most impressively, Adam's not even doing it on your typical fragging operators. He's doing it on a lot of these mid to flex ops for the team. And SQ has a bit of an embarrassment of riches when it comes to aggressive players. So there will always be somebody itching to get that kill, and always will be somebody good enough to get that kill as well on their side of things. After looking a little bit quick over previous rounds, Sonics have now struggled to get into the building to begin attacking this bomb site. There's only a minute to go, and they are far removed from the pace that they set on the previous round.
Very whiffing both those beasts there. He's worried about big power, and again, it's because this time M80, they hold on to the space. Citizen not giving up big power just yet. A bot Grimby canister and Selmas as well here. Utility not going the way of the attack right now. They still got trophy control as well. Spoil playing that kind of all or nothing position here, fighting for his life.
And there comes the first kill. Merc
no.
Somehow team kills the best player so far on Sonics. Spoit will now also capitalize off of Merc's negligence over by Trophy. And what a play it is from Spoit. Citizen, the final kill on the round, and M80 have suddenly swapped things around on defense, and they sit on match point.
You see the change up there. They said, guys, believe in the position because last time, exact same bomb side, they fall back fast. They fall early to like getting surprised by them repelling a master bedroom balcony. But now M80, they've read into what it is that's going wrong and what it is that Soniqs are doing to catch them off guard. So now the question is, can Soniqs figure out their problem? Can they make an adaptation to the counterplay right now and break it once more? And, you know, if they win the upcoming round, that tertiary bomb side, they will take us all the way to overtime. So it really is a possible final round here. The attackers look so good, but that previous round was the most one-sided round, I would argue, from defense, at least from the side of M80 so far.
Both teams have used their timeouts, both of them entering this matchup with a perfect record, albeit only one game played so far. One will continue on undefeated. The other will unfortunately be sent home with this match in the less desirable column. Overtime still very much a possibility, and with how defender-sided Oregon has looked, it would not surprise me whatsoever if Soniqs were to prevail on this tertiary bomb site. Meeting in kitchen, what could be the final round between these two juggernauts? Completely new team of M80 and a new look for Soniqs. After somewhat controversially losing Citizen and benching Grixer, which I think honestly surprised a lot of onlookers after SI, but blow will be softened a bit, as Merc and Adam so far have at least lived up to the billing and have looked magnificent through these two matches.
I'd have to agree. And again, this is early days. This is like, again, like what will this roster look like in a few weeks, in a few months from now? Long term, they stick it out together. That's the bigger question for me is, what's the long term look? So far, it's going to be utility for this round. The Twitch, the Nomad. Now it's Soniqs trying to slow things down a little bit. Play with more intel. Play with a bit more reliable consistency, so to speak, in terms of operator lineup gadgets. Stay with that global gadget of Dokkaebi. One call went out, and just sit inside of the classroom, waiting for the next move. Maybe the EMP to enable the hard breacher off Rexton on lobby side. Trying to apply pressure here from various positions. Poking a bit inside a big tower, poking inside the lobby as well. Forcing out the swing serve from cameraman. A great opening kill there for Rexton.
It's exactly what Soniqs needs if they want to keep themselves in this. Now Spoit falls as well at the hands of Geo. Just waiting ever so patiently. You got two picks.
Yeah.
Kino's low. You got almost half of the round to go as well. Rexon has been the one carrying the bomb in so far, the case rather, towards the bombs. He's successful on both Laundry supply attacks. And we saw getting that case down. Oh my, sloppiness as Kino gets killed through the drone hole by Adam, who's just stat padding at this point. 17 kills against this M80 super team. Now it's Noodle dropped as Rexon's getting the diffuser down. Soniqs put this round away flawlessly. All they need is Citizen, who gets caught out by Geo, and we will indeed go to overtime. This won't be a quick one by any stretch of the imagination, and it's no surprise given these rosters.
It's such a surprising that's happening here. Last round, they made it get their strongest defensive round victory so far. And then Soniqs, the round after that we just witnessed, they get the most one-sided round in the entire match so far, going flawless on that tertiary bomb side attack. Adam just found his way into the middle of the building, inside a server, right next to the bomb site, very quick in that round. And it's because they got the kill to cameraman early on by main lobby. They knew there was a gap. That sole player holding down that portion, and he just took that free space. M80, they will start defense. Soniqs, they will be on the attack. It's effectively a best of 3 in terms of round count now. And if they go the distance, it will be twice defense for the team that starts there, and same for the attack, of course. No surprise, both teams probably gonna go basement here on the first attempt to get on defense. Why wouldn't you? It is statistically the best bomb side, and it's worked out greatly so far. Of course, mixed results, but I would say consistently across the board for both teams, it is where you want to be. Despite the fact that some teams struggle on this bomb side for some reason, you still have so many options. You can play the Mira, Uya, for example. Asami's open. It's just too good not to be a
Well, if there was ever a time for you to ultimately fall short, it would be on that tertiary bomb site.
Yeah.
As we see this map get played more and more in what could be considered to be quite a large meta swing of more information on the win rates. There was a nitro cell that was tossed up at the feet of Ambi that just missed out on killing him. He can continue to soldier onwards, and he's not far removed from the Azami of Spoit. Difficulty controlling the recoil on the C8 as Ambi hits one shot, and Spoit manages to get away from that right now, at least with his life intact. He's going to link up with Cameraman.
Adam is like, he's very often just kind of looking. You know, let's say at last, he just stands somewhere or pause somewhere, just kind of looking at the landscape around him, waiting for communication from his teammates about what the next step is gonna be. Maybe try and get intel in big tower, he can punch the window, go for an easy pick on the Spoit, but they lack that intel right now from Sonic. It's Adam alone on big tower, no one's really joining for him, Ambi's in master bedroom, but look at the timing right now. 1 minute 40 seconds, there are still active roamers on the map on 2 separate areas. It's a very slow round, but just like that, Merc gets a kill and gets injured.
And he gets baited out as well by the Banshee, but Merc still pulls it off. Ambi will continue to bleed out. Let's go. Until Rexen becomes his savior. Citizen is hoping for a read on this from the kill hole that's at the top of the stairs, but Citizen can't find anything through it, and you don't want to overstay your welcome. Citizen staying alive for the cut and thrust of the execute is critical. He doesn't have access to a nitro cell that was burned earlier in the round, but you're still a shotgun and an SMG-11. Both of those have incredible value for your team. Soniqs at the 1 minute mark, now clearing out meeting. He's starting to line things up for what will almost certainly be a laundry execute spearheaded by Rexen's Capitao, as we have seen time and time again throughout this match.
Yeah. The good thing as well here is that because they're actively roaming, the reinforcements are not on the hatches but elsewhere. So despite time being low, hatches are either soft or open by defense. So that buys so much time for the attack. They don't gotta deal with utility right now. Bees can go out, as you mentioned, the capital fire, and a lot of players hovering laundry side. You are correct, Parker. They're gonna go for a front take with 25 seconds left.
Fire over towards Freezer. So Adam and Merc will work together, taking control of that part of the map. Kino eliminating Murkto. That's one domino to fall. Fire now. Citizen swings out. Will suffer the damage to get the kill. Ambi dies. Gio will also die. M80 shutting SQ down in their tracks. Rexen is there for one kill. He'll have to attempt the defuse plant with Adam overseeing. Adam's got too many different areas to look, and he leaves Rexen all on his own as Kino goes massive in that round. He'll propel M80 back to match point.
Back and forth, and again, that was a very chaotic round. When the time is low, when the fires, the smoke, everything happening all at once, the Green Bee spotting players, well, in the end, utility might be a great thing to bring, but gunplay gets you the furthest. Kino landing headshot after headshot, shutting down the push essentially, stalling things out. But now there's a side swap every single round, so you might figure out how to play either attack or defense, but then you only get a one chance at it, then you go to the other side. So now we gotta see if M80 can end it up cleanly here, defend basement, and then afterwards attack basement, or if we gotta go all the way to a 7-7 scoreline with M80 having basement bombs at locked for that final round to come, where they have a tough choice between Kidstorm secondary or that tertiary option. Soniqs, they do pretty much the exact same thing here in terms of their lineup. It's that Asami, the Capitao, the Mira, the util operators. One might is to try and fortify those player positions, either to stop the smokes or the fire from the Capitao, for example, or a grenade or a flashbang. And then Warden who can see through smokes and see through flashbangs as well. Rexen though, not playing on the bomb side as you'd normally expect from Warden. He's starting the round inside a big tower, looking to get aggressive possibly, or going for a swampy loot like.
Love that sound, by the way. The suppressed spear in the hands of Citizen. Kino now up to 14 kills. A lot of it because of what we just witnessed in that previous round, but still a name that we haven't been hearing all that much. It wasn't long ago that Kino was, I don't want to say the scapegoat for M80 struggles, but was certainly the odd one out on that team. So much so that M80 thought it was ideal to bench Kino and bring in a substitute on loan from OXG. Yaga did not look anywhere near as comfortable in the team as I think they hoped. Not that Yaga's a bad player, but it's just very challenging to immediately step up to a team that you don't necessarily know if you're even going to stay on after that. Kino was brought off of the bench and back to active duty, and well, at least in this game in particular, it's been paying off. The rest of this M80 team has coalesced around him, and go back to something I said earlier, which is I don't know how much of this is M80 as a unit versus their individual skills, but that is a question that will be answered the more that we get to see this team function, because I can almost guarantee you that M80 have not even come close to reaching their potential. Same with the Soniqs for that record, after adding Merc and Adam. Oh, both of these teams had a great start last week, and they are certainly looking as sharp as we expected here in this match. One of the best to lose, though. Womp womp. Right now, M80 sitting in the driver's seat with half of the round to go.
Yeah. Of course, Kino, he's got 14 kills like you mentioned, but this round he finds himself on the blitz, so he's been doing a great job at getting kills with a gun, but this round, he might just be the initial entry operator for his team. Spike there, got a kill into Merc, who peeked the mirror window inside laundry towards Freezer, and this is the prime position for M80. They get the opening pick, they shut down Merc, there's also utility as C4 gone from play here, and this is gonna set them up greatly for the execute. They got the blitz, they got the finger boost, they can strengthen their players, get the instant with the beast, go for those gunfight. It's up to Citizen now inside of blue, Kino Noodle on the hatch to make the play together.
Magnet will catch one of those nades tossed out by Citizen. Adrenal Surge comes in. The first of three. Kino is waiting for the call to drop E-Box. It will be greeted by a Nitro Cell by Rexon, but he falls off of that spot. Soniqs giving up control. Instead, the Nitro Cell will go towards Freezer. M80 pulverizing Soniqs. All it's left is Adam with 18 kills. A perfect opportunity for him to pad his stats, but it's Cameraman to work with, to get the job done, and M80 will prevail in overtime.
Individual heroics there. Yeah, it's a team effort, but when it's overtime, White comes online that final round, just gets the perfect timing and hits all the headshots. 3 kills for him, really opened things up. And yeah, this game deserved overtime. I'm happy we went to overtime. It was not a Oregon. It was a good match of Oregon.
It was an exceptionally exciting game between all of these teams. Unfortunately, somebody had to lose, and in this case, it was the Soniqs. M80 and their new super team coming out ahead. As for Super's team, they lose in OT.
Yeah, a small clap for that one, Parker. Well
Thank you. I was very proud of myself for that one. That said, we are halfway done the broadcast. It's a little bit actually over halfway done the broadcast. We still got 2 more matches to go. DZ versus SSG is up next. But first, post-match debrief by the desk after the break.
Sometimes gambits really do pay off. In Citizen's case, the overall choice to move from one team to another absolutely did. In his case, is the one that matters the most. Soniqs fall 8-6 on Oregon, and Citizen finally gets the dub that proves why that was a good move for him on a personal level. I'm Jacob, he's Jonah, he's Fox. They did the thing. First overtime game in the NAL. First time we see this kind of old team rivalry butting back up. That was a really good series, but it had enough popcorn eating moments beforehand to make us go, how is this one going to end?
It was a great series, and usually the player that leaves the team always ends up beating them. We talked about it the prior game. So, I mean, obviously, Citizens got to be feeling pretty good about that win. But start to finish, both teams came out just swinging at each other, and I really love how it was an attack-sided Oregon. You don't really see much of those. So the fact that they were just able to, I guess, duke it out onto the attacks obviously had a lot of things to look at and be like, wow, like what a play.
Attacker-sided maps are always going to be more exciting than the defensive ones, and this one delivered wholeheartedly. And I kind of broke this one down into a couple different acts, if you will, right? You had the first act, really, where it was a very clean-cut M80 dominance. They were getting into the building early on the attacking side. They were steamrolling Soniqs moments after the words in the green room were uttered. Soniqs look like the best team in the league. I'm not going to name names, but they were clean. They came in fast, they came in hard, and it was very difficult to slow them down. That is eventually when Soniqs kind of moved it to the second act, where they finally got their footing and started to take the fight back to M80.
I can completely agree. I mean, Soniqs was looking to bring it back all the way to the end. They looked like the dominant force, especially when they were on their side of attacks. And then we saw the third act, I would say, which is M80 locking in, correcting the mistakes and switching up their tempo. It looked like they completely slowed down on the way that they were defending to make sure that they could bring it towards like the little overtime. And then once they got to overtime, it was a completely different M80 in my opinion. Very slow, very methodical, especially on that last round on attack, taking their time, opening up the angles. They'd have a player on every single position of the map. They got rid of the Miras, and step by step, just enclosing Soniqs on themselves.
The one problem about games like this that are very streaky, 4 rounds straight from M80 that make it a 4-1 game, 4 rounds straight from Soniqs immediately after that suddenly turns into a 4-5, and we think M80 has the advantage. Then Soniqs have it. Then there's a back and forth, and suddenly we're going to OT. The problem with streaky games is we can't predict what happens in OT because nothing about the way that first several segments went makes the rest of it predictable. So I think M80 should be really happy they won this thing and then don't have to worry about what the hell this game actually meant.
They should, and especially being able to recognize where they went wrong to then slow it down on the overtime and close out a very clean overtime, just getting the next 2 rounds back to back on the defense and on the attack. Very hard to do, especially when you lose such a monumental lead.
Yeah.
But then to just focus up and get those last 2 rounds, I mean, of course you got to be happy running away with it.
Let's give props to Soniqs for one thing. I do think that might be Adam's new career kill record at this point. Hasn't been in Tier 1 for very long, but he's already making a huge impact for Soniqs in just his second game.
18 kills, that was his final tally, but he delivered consistently throughout this entire map. It wasn't just a first or second half performance. I mean, 18 kills. You need to do that the entire time if you want to reach that kind of a number. I mean, we saw it early. He was helping or doing whatever he could to try to stall out M80 as they were working their way into the building, and then they switch over to the attacking side, and he keeps it up, he steps it up, and gets Soniqs back into the fight.
Especially playing on that secondary support flex role is really hard to find so many of these multi-kills and be able to put yourselves in the position that you're consistently able to pretty much win your team rounds when it's relied on you. There's a lot of players in the league that we referred to him to, especially players like Handy and Nade, and obviously this match just goes to show if you put him in these positions, especially on the difficult operators, like getting a 4K with Goyo,
yeah,
you know, that gun's not too fun to use. So having the confidence to do that and the lack of pressure, just trusting in your teammates to be able to be like, hey, if you give it to me, I'll make sure we win this round.
Let's give M80 props, though. I think Spoit had a much better outing this time around. Kino had several highlights, one at the very beginning of overtime, one at the very beginning of the map to put them in good contention. We don't have to talk about guys like Citizen too much because when those guys pop off, everybody on M80 just seems like they thrive together.
And I love that it's Spoit again, kind of taking center stage here, because that was part of the big transition that M80 were trying to make happen coming into the stage, right? You're trying to slow things down a bit, getting rid of some of those big heavy hitters and building a more stable foundation around this one player, and so far working well.
Well, let's talk to the man of the hour real quick. Citizen is on deck to talk about knocking off his old team. It finally happened. The gambit paid off. Mr. McMillan, talk to me. How does it feel, dude?
Feels great. Honestly, it just feels good to beat those guys, you know. Old team, old vibes. I know how they're going to play and we just beat them, you know. They play good, but we play better.
Citizen, speak freely right here. It's just you and me. Last week, right? Ambi went ahead and said that he thinks that Merc is better than you currently. Do you have anything? How does that make you feel?
I don't care, because you saw Ambi, what did he go, 3-12 or something, dying every round, kind of crazy. So like he can say whoever's better, well, we beat him, so we know who's better, you know?
Oh, boy.
I mean, speaking of who's better, does it feel like a different environment? Does it feel like there's a little bit less pressure on this team, a lot more easygoing than your previous roster?
Yeah, for sure. Like everyone's putting in like lots of work. Like everyone has the same mindset, the same goals, the same ideology. Like the environment from my previous teams to this team is just crazy. I think we've got a really good thing going on right now. We just need to make sure we improve and carry on throughout the season and hopefully make the major.
Staying on that for a second, Citizen, kind of want to dig into this a little bit more. What was the motivation behind making that move in the first place, right? You moved to M80, you're trying to get something done here. Any more insight into the reason behind the move?
I just weighed my options because a lot of NA teams were doing like complete reworks, and I just, you know, I had a message saying that M80 were looking into me from my age and elegance, and he just helped me out, and I thought like M80 would just be the better option than Soniqs on their rebuild, you know, and I think today it panned out my way, and hopefully it carries on in the future.
All right.
One of the things I was curious about coming into the stage was, would there be too many cooks in the kitchen with a whole bunch of big names on M80? There's Cameraman in there, Kino's had a big presence, obviously Spoit is there, but now you are in the picture. Do you ever find that there's moments where you're tripping over one another, or do you think everyone's syncing up pretty well after 2 games so far?
As of right now, like there's no tripping up. Like I think everyone's got like respect for the main caller, which is like Cameraman, and I help out when needed, and the other 3, like they all chip in when they need to, and yeah, it's just like a good environment. No like beef, no one gets annoyed if their idea doesn't like get used or anything, and it's a good place to be in, really. Like it's completely different from other teams.
Last question for you. You were the import player last year when you went to Soniqs, and then you had some time to get acclimated to what it was like playing in North America, but now you're on the other side of it, watching guys like Cameraman and Noodle come in from different continents, come into North America to play. Are you ever like the guiding hand for those dudes at any point because they're new to the scene and you're not?
I mean, just with Camera, it's just this like learning English, you know. I help out with his English when needed, and so do the others. But with Noodle, I think like he was basically an import anyway in the MENA League, so I think he's kind of used to like this situation. And like, yeah, the only difference is just Camera's English. That's the only thing.
Well, hopefully there's even more of a chance to keep on improving that. Ben, again, congratulations on the 2-0 start. We'll see you next week, all right?
Thank you. See you later.
Everything for M80 just seems like it's firing on all cylinders at the moment. There's not really much else you can say about their play that should be better, other than maybe don't let a 4-1 lead slip nearly that drastically, but phenomenal start for those guys so far.
Obviously, we talked about it in the pre-show, the language barrier difference and Cameraman slowly getting better, and obviously you can attribute some of the little intricacies that went wrong. To that, with a little more time, they'll be a little solid. And the real winner at the end of the day, in my opinion, is probably Elegance, because that guy is managing like 80% of the league. So the
At
fact
this point,
that,
yeah.
the fact that he was able to make Citizen get the spot on the team, obviously it's looking really good for that guy.
I can't believe we're giving Elegant mention on the NAL now, dude.
I really didn't, I think, put enough emphasis in my own mind on how that language barrier could impact things, because we think of Cameraman as this experienced player, a famous name, right? Someone that we know brings a lot of leadership potential to this roster. And I think we saw that week 1. We've seen that now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's got to be something that this whole team is working around and working with Cameraman on. I'm definitely interested to see kind of how he fits into that role more, even with that.
I mean, we don't even really think of it about it being a problem because they've won 2 games straight and they're fine, right?
They're fine,
Absolutely.
clearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But as an IGL, it provides a whole different element to the game. Sometimes when you want to say something and you don't necessarily know the words to convey it to the rest of your team, obviously we saw that as an issue when the first roster of M80 happened with their coaching staff being primarily Brazilian. But now, obviously, it's going a lot better in their favor.
We had 2 heavy hitters go to overtime in this matchup. Is the same thing going to happen in our 4th game of the day? The 2 longest tenured rosters, or the 2 longest tenured orgs in the North American League, going head-to-head next.